911, what's your emergency?
The following content is graphic, emotional, and includes dark humor that may not be suitable for all listeners. Discretion is advised. These stories are based on real-life EMS, military, and healthcare experiences. Calls are real, providers are real, names and details have been changed to protect privacy. They may be disturbing to some and are definitely inappropriate for HR department. Any medical or mental health discussion is personal experience, not protocol. Use your damn brain. Follow your local guidelines, and when in doubt, call med control. If you're struggling, don't do it alone. Talk to someone, a coworker, a friend, a therapist, or hell, reach out to me. I'll answer. Need help right now? Text or call 988 or visit 988lifeline.org.
Biggest lie about burnout is that it's a personal failure. You're burnt out because you fail to maintain boundaries. You're burnt out because you procrastinate. You're burnt out because you're not using your resources well. Um, yes, there are instances because as employees, again, whether you're fire, EMS, dispatchers, a staff nurse, an MP, whatever you are, right? We're not perfect. We're human. We have our shortcomings, we have our needs, we have our failings, we have our weaknesses. And so for burnout to be as widespread as it is, like it's hard to if we're if burnout is viewed as a personal failure, are we to believe that everybody's a failure? Or is it more likely that we were set up to fail? And when we do, again, if we're going to consider burnout a personal failing, if that's how we're going to look at it, right? If we were set up to fail and then we fail, whose fault is it? Because we didn't build this. We didn't build a system where, if you're pre hospital, right? Hospitals close and now you got to travel farther. Now you're covering a larger area. And not only does it change how you work, it's also changing what patients do, So knowing that the hospital that's, 2 miles away closed and the next nearest hospital is 15 miles away, they're not going to call when they're a little bit sick. They're going to call when they're on death's door, right? And I had to, from every now and again, I have to send patients to the hospital, right? But now if I'm calling from the clinic, and again, this is New York City, like there's hospitals everywhere, but there's also high population density, lots of traffic. So, if you're I'll give you an example. I live 8 miles from my job. It takes me on a good day, it takes me 45 minutes to get to work, right? To drive 8 miles, it's 45 minutes. On a typical day, it takes me like 65 minutes to drive 8 miles.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
although, yeah, although there's a lot of healthcare and lots of hospitals around, it's not easy to get there,
Right.
right? So, if you've got a bunch of people calling for help for various things, the regional EMS service has to triage these things. Now, I'm in community health, and my primary care patient, is having a psychiatric break, and they're hallucinating and having paranoia because they've been off their meds. And I take care of them for like their hypertension and their diabetes, right? But here they are in an acute psychiatric crisis. But you, Chris, got a whole bunch of calls that are rule out acute coronary syndrome, rule out stroke. So my patient who's cutting up in the clinic because they've been off of their Geodon for the past 9 weeks, they become down triaged, right? They're not suicidal. They're not homicidal. This is somebody who's going to be sitting in the community health center for 5 hours pulling on our resources until EMS can finally come because all of the acute coronary syndrome and all of the rule out strokes have already been dispatched. And finally, there's a unit who's free, right? Is that your fault, Chris? Is that my fault? Absolutely not. It's not the patient's fault either. And then the nurse in the clinic who has to keep that patient calm, keep them from eloping, keep the other patients from getting pissed off at this one who's screaming and hollering in the hallway.
I bet that's
Like,
fun.
yeah, none of us are at fault for this,
Yeah,
right?
you're
But
right. I think
the
the system.
venture capitalists who closed our hospitals because they financially ran it into the ground, it's their fault. But you know what they're doing? They're chilling. They don't have to see any of this. They consolidated, they closed, they sold to the highest bidder. And they keep their hands clean of all of the mayhem. And then here we are, you got the pre-hospital people talking about, well, why is the clinic calling? Why can't they just handle it? And then the clinic people are like, why is EMS taking so long? And then the ER is like, why did they call for this guy? Like, he's not even suicidal. What are we supposed to do?
Right.
If you think it's too heavy to say it anyway. It beats a eulogy. You don't have to apologize for surviving however you can. You're not the reason things are heavy. You're the reason they're still moving. Need support right now? Reach out to me. Reach out to somebody. Text or call 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. You're not alone. Not in this job. Not in this fight. Want to share your story or connect? Visit critical-run.com or message the Facebook page, Dispatched and Dysfunctional. We're building this for you, for them, for all of us.